I am a 38-year-old woman expecting my first and likely only child. My 36-year-old sister is also pregnant with her third baby, arriving several years after her youngest, who is now 8. I faced major fertility challenges for many years. I hadn't been able to conceive since I was 24. We ran every possible test, but doctors never found a specific cause. We tried all kinds of approaches, taking breaks, fertility drugs, and more. Finally, last year we succeeded with IVF. My husband and I had picked out a boy name and a girl name almost from the moment we began trying to have a family. These were the names we had promised ourselves we would use when we had children, and we had originally hoped for at least 2 kids. Those names remained our choices through all the struggles. But when my sister was expecting her first child, she and her husband couldn't agree on a name. She even mentioned how fortunate we were to have already settled on ours. Then, after her daughter was born, she went ahead and used the exact girl name my husband and I had chosen. She later admitted that was how they finally decided. Her husband liked our name, and she didn't think it was a problem, so she used it so their baby would have a name. She told me not to be upset, even though I clearly became emotional when she revealed it, and said at least the name was being used. When her son was born, she used our boy name for the same reason. They still couldn't agree on anything else. This seriously damaged our relationship. I was deeply hurt by how casually she dismissed my feelings. She strongly suggested that she believed I would never have children of my own to use those names. A couple of years after her son's birth, she even commented that since we had agreed so quickly, we could easily pick different names if needed, basically implying we shouldn't use them anymore. In the end, we combined elements from our original boy and girl names for this baby. Both names had unisex qualities, and since we loved all 4 options, mixing them didn't feel like a big compromise. My sister probably won't be happy about it, but we don't see each other often these days anyway. She has only been reaching out more frequently now that we're both pregnant at the same time, and she keeps asking about the name we've chosen. I've refused to tell her. My 2 brothers already know it. They believe I should have stuck with the original names and basically told her off, but they also understand why we decided to blend them. She sent me an angry text the other night, calling me petty and saying these babies should grow up close. That we should be repairing our relationship, instead of me shutting her out and deliberately keeping things from her. WBTA if I gave my parents an ultimatum. This has been a difficult situation. To give some background, I am the only daughter among 4 siblings. I'm 27 with 2 older brothers, 39 and 35, and 1 younger brother, 26. My father is a pastor, so we grew up in a fairly religious home, which I still respect. I love my brothers and my parents, but there are many double standards that I've started calling out recently. For example, my oldest brother and his now wife got pregnant before marriage. My parents were surprised but thrilled and offered every kind of support they could. My dad even officiated their wedding without any issue. My other older brother bought a house and moved in with his then girlfriend, now wife. They needed help with the down payment, and my parents happily gave them several $1,000s with no conditions. My younger brother has had a lot of problems. He struggled with drugs, self-worth issues, and related challenges. He's been in and out of rehab and therapy and has lived with nearly every girlfriend he's had. My parents get frustrated but mostly look the other way. I started dating the love of my life about a year ago. I wasn't someone who dated much in high school or college, so this relationship becoming serious was a big deal for me. We've talked seriously about marriage and children, and he's the first partner I've truly felt comfortable with. 6 months ago, we decided to move in together. We told his parents, our brothers, cousins, and friends. Everyone was thrilled for us. I had been putting off telling my own parents for obvious reasons. My mom and dad knew I was moving but didn't know the details. The other day, my mom came over to help me pack and suddenly said, "Honey, we love your boyfriend, but I'm unhappy with your choice." It grieves God. I told her I understood, but that I'm an adult and this is my decision. She said she knew that but needed to express her feelings. She also added that she wanted to do the typical mom things like help decorate and visit the house, but she just couldn't under these circumstances. When I asked if that meant she would never come even if invited, she just shrugged as if it was uncertain. That really hurt. It feels like selective application of their beliefs. I've been struggling with this for a while, even before the moving in part. I really want to sit down with my parents and ask whether this disagreement is worth losing a relationship with me and the man they claim to love. Would I be the asshole for asking them to set aside their feelings the way they did for my brothers, or should I just keep my distance? AITA for telling my friend the truth when he said he wanted to get with my sister. My 21-year-old male friend, 20M, constantly complains that no girls ever notice him and that he's never dated or been with anyone. Last night we were out, and he started talking about having a crush on my 19-year-old younger sister. He wasn't respectful about it at all. He described in very explicit detail how he wanted to get with her. I got angry and yelled at him. I told him the reason girls don't look at him is because he doesn't take care of himself, stays unhealthy, and treats women like objects. After that, he started crying and went home. Was I wrong for giving him the harsh truth after what he said about my sister? AITA for missing my niece's 18th birthday because only some of my kids are excluded. My sister doesn't particularly like 2 of my children. They are 8 and 10, have autism, and are very energetic, but they are wonderful kids. They do great in school, excel in music and sports, and are liked by everyone else. No one else in the family has problems with them. We recently attended a formal dinner and dance for my grandmother's 80th birthday with no issues at all. When they were younger, I avoided situations that might set them up for failure, like fancy restaurants. So we missed my sister's 40th birthday because I had just separated from my husband, had a newborn via C-section, and wasn't sure I could manage the kids in that environment. I was relying on others for transportation and couldn't easily leave, plus it was a paid-per-head buffet. I think she's still upset about that from 6 years ago. There will be around 20 other children at this party, ranging from 11 down to a newborn. My nieces invited me, but my sister later changed the date, so it's no longer on my kid-free weekend. She then told me I would need to get a babysitter for those 2 as well. My other children, 19, 13, and 6, are invited. They're renting a hall, having a barbecue and a local band. It's very family-oriented. Instead, I've booked an overseas holiday for myself and all the kids. I'll send the girls cash gifts, and since they're both moving to the city where I live for university next year, I'll help them settle in and stock their kitchens, just like I did for my oldest. Now my sister is upset that I'm choosing a vacation over the party. So AITA for not bringing some of my children and arranging a sitter for the other two. AITA for warning my maternal relatives they could be uninvited from my wedding. I'm a 28-year-old man getting married next year. I've been completely no contact with my mother for the past 10 years and haven't lived with her for 12 years. I moved out at 16. That boundary is not changing, even though she has tried to reach out over the years. I've kept all contact closed. This includes some of her side of the family that I still speak with, mainly her parents, 2 of her siblings, and their 5 kids, my cousins. I stay in touch with them because they supported me. The reason for the estrangement: I didn't like who my mother became after my dad died. I was 8 when he passed and 9 when she suddenly decided to pack up all his photos, clothes, and belongings and send them to his parents. She wanted to move on, remarry, and didn't want her new husband to feel uncomfortable. She told me not to cling to a dead man who was no longer part of our lives. She wouldn't even let me keep a couple of photos for my room. From then on, she became cold whenever I mentioned my dad. She did remarry and had more children after I left home. She married a man who resented that I wouldn't call him dad or let him adopt me and change my last name. My mother was furious when I stopped the adoption process. They had spent a lot of money on lawyers. When I moved out at 16, I stayed briefly with maternal grandparents before going to my paternal grandparents. The relatives I mentioned continued supporting me even after I moved out of state, but recently that has changed. They keep bringing up inviting my mother and her family to my wedding. I've told them nothing has changed for me. They've tried to persuade me and even suggested inviting her other children so we could build relationships. I refused. When they kept pushing how important it was to invite my mother, I finally warned them that if they brought it up again or tried anything, they could be uninvited too. I said I would have them removed on the day if necessary. They said I was being too harsh. AITA for telling people why I stopped leaving baked goods in the lobby. I really enjoy baking as a hobby. I hate wasting food, but I don't always want to eat everything I make. I love the process of baking, but when it comes to eating the results, I'm usually just meh. I usually share my extra baked goods with friends and family. One time, my brother couldn't come pick up a cupcake pan because he was busy. I didn't have fridge space, so with permission from the security guard, I left the cupcakes in the apartment building's common area with a note saying they were free and included my apartment number. That started a little tradition of me putting extra treats on a table in the lobby. Other neighbors started doing it too. It created a nice sharing atmosphere. Then one neighbor from another floor knocked on my door. She was upset because her child, who has a peanut allergy, had eaten some of my peanut butter brownies. I got very worried and apologized right away. She said it was okay, but asked me to help pay for part of the cost of getting her child medical help. We talked and I agreed to cover the cab fare to and from the hospital. I apologized again. She said everything was fine but asked me to be more careful. Since then, I haven't left any food out because the incident made me anxious. I know it could have been worse, but it still shook me. My hall neighbor Lily noticed and asked if I was okay since I hadn't put anything out lately. I simply told her that after the allergy issue, I didn't feel comfortable continuing in case something similar happened again. I didn't realize Lily knew exactly who I was referring to. Apparently she spread the story because the same mother came back angry, asking why I was telling everyone to blame her. I explained that I never blamed her or told anyone to point fingers. When another neighbor asked why the tradition stopped, I only mentioned the allergy incident without any specific details about who or what happened. She's furious and says I did it on purpose and is going to report me to the landlord. I apologized again and said I never meant for this to happen, but she stormed off. I don't hold anything against her or her child. I'm mostly upset with Lily right now for spreading it.